another victory under their belts into the county semi-final. Likewise to Lissy Casey, and here on the loser side of the draw, it's probably a terrible name for one section of the championship, but it's all a long road ahead for these teams.
And you speak of goals, neither of these sides got a goal in that opening round, so we're hopefully going to get one here. The teams are lining up, and it is Doonbeg that had the aid of a slight breeze in the opening half. Just seeing
they'll be playing into the car park side here in Clare. It's normally the scoring end of the ground, and Michael Kelly has just prompted the smaller audience to stand face the tricolour as we prepare for our An Naveen.
Man in the middle is Cracklow's Jim Hickey, and he's just awaiting a ball. It's the back-to-back champion St. Joseph's Miltown against the backs-to-the-wall specialist Doonbeg for the right to stay in the race for Jack Daly. So let's see what's going to unfold over the next hours, about to get underway in Clare in association with Jones's Super Value in Miltown Malby, who have been serving the people of West Clare since the 1850s, something that Joe Gary can attest to as well.
Well, you have to ask Sil now, that's around Sil's time, the 1850s, but Cyril Jones and John Jones, all the Joneses up in Miltown, great tradition of football, not only in Miltown but for Clare as well, and I'm sure they'll be eagerly listening in. If they're not, there's a little bit of argy-bargy, as Micheál Hertig used to call it. Jim Hickey has the ball in there, and we're underway here in Carroll.
We are, and the one positional switch is that Colm Dillon is out in the centre for the start of the game. He was posted at full forward, but he has managed to come out here around the centre, and it's Doonbeg that have the ball, and it's rolling good on his own half back line. He gives it back to Mike.
But he'll be going long, and he's found his man on the far side of the field, Brian Egan, whereas you can be rest assured Sean O'Brien will be going short most of the day long.
An incisive pass from David Tuberly, and that gives inside to Pádraig Ahern. Pádraig Ahern checks back to Colm Dillon. Colm Dillon has a small bit of room. Can he put Doonbeg back in the lead? Look to be fouled, and he is, and Shawnee Malone gives away the free, and that's a second free for Doonbeg in scoring zone, and that will be food and drink to what David Tuberly, Shuttle Tuberly, and back to Tig Lillis. They're playing along the 45 metre line. It's Cian O'Mahony. He's looking, he has a man outside in Joe Blake, but opts to go back to Lillis. Lillis just loses it slightly, and he's under pressure a bit from Conor Cleary. They're defending in their own half-back line at the moment, and again they're under pressure, this time from Owen Cleary, and they're going backwards, if anything, Doonbeg at the start here, but they do get out of a bit of danger, and a perfect man to get the ball. It's Pádraig Ahern off, and he gives it to Michael Tuberly. The vice-captain is underway, and he gives it to Ronan Good. Tuberly's on for the pass again, and it is Michael Tuberly. Look to be fouled, and he is. Graham Kelly just leaving in the hand, and it's a free in for Doonbeg. A good positive start for them, Joe.
Yeah, you can see what they want to do. They're not going to kick the ball away. There'll be all controlled possession. Good stuff from Cian O'Mahony and as well Tig Lillis. They were going backwards, but it was all about ball retention. It means now David Tuberty is his first shot at goal here into the Bristol end, we'll say Cara here in Clare, and it means that David now we expect him to be man marked all the time by Gordon Kelly. Gordon is landing out his possession, and just as I said, Jim Hickey's been called by one of his umpires aside, something untoward off the ball. He'll be having a quick word with somebody, no doubt, to cut out the nonsense. The umpires are eagle-eyed, and he's saying that let's keep it nice and calm. Brian Egan, was it Brian Egan? It wasn't Brian Egan, it was Owen Tuberty, I think, and his direct opponent Tato, that were having a quick word. David goes short,
and he goes to Michael Tuberty just inside, about 35 metres out. That looks to be good. And it is, it's a point for Doonbeg, and they open the scoring here. A quick free from David Tuberly. He was on the 50 metre line, passed it into the unmarked Michael Tuberly. Everyone expected him to go direct, but he managed to pass it inside, and Michael Tuberly gets the opening score of this round 2 match. And again, it's a quick restart, and it's Gordon Kelly on the ball, and he gets it out, and it's out here on the wing, just moving back slightly. It's Oisin Looney. He gives it back to Conor Cleary. Small bit time for Miltown to settle. They haven't gone on much ball so far, and it's Owen O'Brien giving up the line to Aidan McGuan. McGuan feeds in Owen Cleary, and Owen Cleary's got a bit of space. He's moving inside. He's gone for the 45. He's gone to the 20, and he opts to take a point. Could have gone for goal there, Joe, but opted to take the point.
Yes, in fairness, and that's a worrying thing for Brian Dillon there. They carved open the Miltown or the Doonbeg defence. They ran straight at him. Owen has a huge acceleration, as we know, and got inside Ty Gillis and made straight for goal. Opened up in front of him maybe for a split second. I think it was the wisest course of action. Put the ball in his left leg, kick it high, straight over the bar. Interesting on the kick outs now. It certainly will. This is on the 14-metre line, an angle of 45 degrees. He's knolled into from goal. He's been sloppy so.
Game. A couple of chances that you want Doonbeg to take every opportunity that comes their way.
No, they'll take great help from that. Good defending at the back because Cormac Murray had the legs and Kevin Pinder. Kevin chased him down though. Good fetch from Conor Cleary. He'd been marked, of course, by Michael Tuberty. He's been pulled off the ball. I don't know if the linesman spotted. John Connelly's linesman here will stay with the play. Graham's on the ball.
Yeah, Graham Kelly getting it from Cian Mahoney. Graham has a look. It's just probably going to drift out to the left and wide, and it's a first wide for St. Joseph's Miltown, but a good counter attack there. And it's Jim Hickey again called over by his officials, and this time it's John O'Connell, and it's just a bit of pushing, a bit of off the ball. Conor Cleary, I think his run was checked on the way.
Yeah, John Connell, I'm sure, has pointed that out to Jim, and he'll say, Michael, less of that. No, we're keeping an eye on you because Michael and has his hands full now with Conor Cleary. Conor's a big man, a towering presence around the middle of the field, big over his sleep. David, not putting the kibosh on him in any way, but I mean, he'll certainly do that. And good kick out from Eamon Tuberty. Good to see him leave down the ball. He met his father outside in the car park before that, and you know, Eamon will go here, there and everywhere supporting not only Doonbeg or Michael, his father, but all over the country as well. I met him over in Breffni that famous day early in their last round of the league. He's here supporting them as well, and just as I say it, Eamon or David Tuberty nonchalantly kicks the ball over the bar. Doonbeg 2 to the goal, 2 points, Miltown 1 point, and we have just over 3.5 minutes played.
Absolutely, another quick kick out, and that's looking for Aidan McGuan, but it's intercepted by Paul Dillon. Paul Dillon is on about the 20-metre line, and he gives into David Tuberty. Oh, and that's just screwed off. It just didn't come back in time, and it's gone to the left and wide. A big opportunity for Doonbeg, but that's one that they squandered, and that's their opening wide of this game. It's unlike Miltown to be giving away kickouts like that.
They certainly, and just, you know, it meant that Paul Dillon managed to get his hand in, and David will be very disappointed because, you know, he does that in his sleep. Generally kicks the ball off the bar. It was an opportunity to extend their lead. Miltown will come back up the field now. Long ball, looking inside for Cormac Murray, and he has the legs on Kevin.
Oh, what a collect he has, and he's after cutting in from the left wing, and he's inside the 14-metre line. Tries to give it to Graham Kelly, but managed to miscontrol. He looked for a free, but didn't get it, and it's Eamon Tuberty that cleans up at the back. And they just about get away. A bit of relief for Doonbeg, but they can't clear it, and it's Owen Cleary that's putting under fierce pressure on Sean Conway, and he manages to win back possession. He's got two Doonbeg men around him, and it's Cathal Killeen that wins back the ball, and it's Doonbeg that are on the counter-attack, and it's Owen Tuberty. Tuberty managed to get away from Aidan McGuan in the first instance, and then Oisin Looney. He still has the ball. He gets into Cathal Killeen, as I said, a minor from last year. It looks for his shot, and it just goes to the left and wide, and really unlucky one.
Big belt boot on Eamon Tuberty again. He's gone long. Looks as if Brian Curtin is going to mop it up right here on the half back line for the Miltown boys.
Yeah, and it's Owen O'Brien that comes out with possession. I didn't know Joe could lip read, but anyway, that's another thing for another day. And looks like, oh, that's perfectly kept in by Cormac Murray, and it allows Miltown to attack. And here is Owen O'Brien again. Has a look. He's around the 14 man. He's surrounded by about 4 or 5 Miltown men, but manages to get the ball away to Owen Cleary. And again, that horde of magpies after coming out on top of him. A nest of magpies, you could say. Brought down as Cormac Murray that wins the free. They were very, very lucky to get out of that. There was a horde of magpies around there.
There was, I think, is it a flock, not a horde? We'll see with magpies, but one way or another, they just
murder of crows.
Maybe that's it. They swarmed him anyway, but eventually gave away the free. Good work from Micheál Murray again, you know, and a great piece of intervention from Cormac Murray. And ball looks he's gone out of the sideline, as you say. He just got it fisted, kept it in play. Micheál ran onto it, looked as if it was open up again, but they'll get a free and a chance to arrest that. And in fairness to Doonbeg boys, you know, they had Miltown gone away from goal. They'll be a little bit annoyed that they gave away the free, but it will give Owen Cleary his opportunity to kick his second point of the game and level up the scores.
And that he does from 20 metres out, and it means that the score is back to level pegging. It's Doonbeg 2, Miltown 2 in a real end-to-end contest here. There's off the ball stuff and everything happening, but it's Eamon Tuberty is about to restart the game, and Michael Tuberty is a good 5 or 10 yards. Gets the mark, and he's putting them underway again, but that wasn't a great ball. On Tuberty under a little bit of pressure, but manages to win the free, and it's Sean Conway, a Clare under 20 from this year, that's about to restart. He leaves it down. I suppose rightly for David Tuberty to do it, but he's around halfway. This isn't really a kick and score, although he does have the wind at his back. Colm Dillon is calling for the ball inside, and that's where he's aimed at, right to the edge of the square. Shawnee Malone goes up with him, and he just about gets a fisted. And it's scrambled, but Colm Dillon manages to pick it up. He's on his end line, but he's out near the corner, and he's surrounded by two Miltown men. Nobody has possession, but it's Shawnee Malone, the captain, that manages to put a bit of sense and a bit of composure to it. And off they go again. Miltown are on their own half back line. Oisín Looney makes it up to halfway, gives inside to Conor Cleary. Conor Cleary checks, beats Michael Tuberty, and gives it off to his twin brother Owen. Owen Cleary again around midfield. He has to check back. Doonbeg's tackling crowds in numbers that they're tackling in at the moment, but Miltown have four men back in their own half back line and managed to recycle the ball. It's Owen O'Brien on his own 45 metre line. He's about 10 or 15 yards to the nearest Doonbeg player, but they'll soon be coming on him, don't you worry. And he gives it inside to around halfway to Conor Cleary. Conor Cleary looks to find inside, and again it's Cormac Murray seems to be the target all the time. This time it's Doonbeg to pick up, and it's Pádraig Ahern that puts them on the counter attack, and it's Paul Dillon. Paul Dillon is swarmed by Micheál Murray, but manages to hold on to possession. He's at his own half back line, gives it back to Pádraig Ahern. Pádraig Ahern looks up, assesses his options, and the nearest one is Tig Lillis. Tig Lillis giving it across to Owen Tuberty. Owen Tuberty finding Sean Conway out, his fellow Clare under 20 out on this left wing, and he takes on Owen O'Brien and manages to get away from him, but he is held, and it means that a free for Doonbeg. It's right on the touchline here, about 50 metres out, but it's another opportunity, you'd imagine, for David Tuberty.
I'm quite sure that James Griffin, Eddie Khalil, Darrell Tuberty, Brian Dillon, all the lads involved with Doonbeg will be delighted with their first 9 or 10 minutes in the game. You know, they've really turned into Miltown. They'd want to keep the play as broken as possible, but remember, Miltown capitalise on that kind of space, and today Doonbeg have been very disciplined. They're tackling, they've got another free. Miltown aren't fouling them within the scoring zone the last couple of occasions. They kept David now. This will be at the peak of his powers now if he's going to, but remember, if it drops short, Colm Dillon's on the verge of the square. David goes for a quick 1-2. He'll need a little bit more assistance though.
But he does get it back, and he gives it to Michael Tuberty, and he's put under pressure. They're still in their own halfway line. It's
more assistance though.
But he does get it back, and he gives it to Michael Tuberty, and he's put under pressure. They're still in their own halfway line. It's Tig Lillis finding Pádraig Ahern, who seems to be ever free out in the right wing. He has a look. He's about 40 metres out. He will be ambitious, and it's gone to the left and wide. Colm Dillon was lurking around the edge of the square. He's going to be a big target from this afternoon, but that was just a little bit overhit to try and find him.
Yeah, it wasn't a shot, it wasn't a cross. You know, Sean O'Brien will have the ball on the tee within 4 seconds. You know, generally, I think that they say Cluxton has it generally before 3 on the tee. Sean is shortly after him because he'll put it on 3 and he'll go for Conor Cleary. Conor has used every bit of his big frame, create a bit of space for himself and find his twin brother.
And he's got a bit of space in front of him. He's getting away from Ronan Good, and he managed to give in to Cormac Murray. Cormac Murray is making ground. He's really checked, but he managed to get onto his left foot and put it over the bar, and that's a great response from St. Joseph's Miltown, who go into the lead for the very, very first time here in Clare. Doonbeg have hit 3 wides, but it's Miltown that are 3 points to 2 up, and we're just entering in about 10 and a half minutes. But there's a quick restart. There's barely time to catch a breath here, and it's Owen Tuberty that's on the ball from the kick out. He managed to make ground from Brian Curtin. Brian Curtin is really putting effort into that pace to get back at him, but he manages to get away from Aidan McGuan, and now he's surrounded by 3 Miltown men and manages to lose the ball. He probably should have got rid of it a little bit earlier, but it's Owen O'Brien that cleans up, and he gives it off to Oisín Looney. Oisín Looney out to Shawnee O'Brien, or Shawnee Malone. Shawnee Malone, the captain, out to Micheál Murray. Slips momentarily, but doesn't manage to hold the ball. And he gives it off to Conor Cleary. Conor Cleary onto Gordon Kelly, and a first opportunity for Gordon Kelly to pass the halfway line. He's going to be faced by Ronan Good, but manages to get his kick away, and he's looking for Gerard Malone. A first intervention for him, but it's Kevin Pender that comes out with that ball. The captain for Doonbeg gives it off to Cathal Killeen, and it's end-to-end stuff here. Really tenacious tackling and really good running, and it's a free out for Pádraig Ahern. That safe pair of hands there at the back.
Yeah, good work for the Doonbeg full back line. Joe Blake it was, got it touched him before Gerard Malone could get control of the ball, and Kevin Pinder cleaned up one. Unfortunately for Sean Conway's kicked the ball away. Taylor's on the rampage. So I spoke to his mother in the car park beforehand. She used to say his late father used to tell him he'd get a nosebleed if he passed the halfway line, but he's gone past it a couple of occasions. Gerard Malone lining up for a shot from distance.
Oh, that one changed, but he doesn't manage to get that one right, and it's gone to the right and wide, and it's Miltown's second wide. They have 2, Doonbeg have 3, but it's more crucially on the score, but it's Miltown 3, Doonbeg 2, as we just enter into about the 12th minute here, and it's Eamon Tuberty looking for that quick restart. It's been a game of quick restarts. It's like a challenge match feel to it. It's starting so quickly, but it's Miltown that win it, and it's Micheál Murray gives it off to Cormac Murray, who's managed to go into a real deep position. He gives it off to Conor Cleary. Conor Cleary gives it back to Oisín Looney. Oisín Looney gives it back to Conor Cleary, and Conor Cleary, that's a great patient move.
Fabulous score, in fairness to the Miltown boys, and it all came from Shawnee Malone's leap here on Colm Dillon. We know there's a height difference there, but Shawnee's well able to get off the floor and got a big right fist hit, broke the ball, and from there on, quick interchange of passes by the Miltown boys. Conor Cleary got on his right leg, got the call from Ger Malone. He was probably a little bit reticent on the fact that his last attempt went well wayward, but he gave the ball to Conor, who took it on his stride, dropped his left shoulder, kicked it straight between the posts, and we've double scores here in Clare. Neve Joseph Strad, Nakahara Kirakulin, Nilak Gawkey and Foss, Egwita Doonbeg, but they have the ball, they have the size 5 in the hands of Pádraig Ahern.
Mahan Far Joseph, and looked to be kind of an elbow there for a second, but it's Doonbeg that have it all the same, and it's Sean Conway gives it back to Tig Lillis, and Tig Lillis finding Michael Tuberty. He always seems to be available for a pass, but it's running good, this passing. He's going to go past the 45 metre line. He's cutting in, he finds Colm Dillon out in the right corner. He's going to have a pop at this. It would be a very ambitious effort, and it is. Oh, it's a fantastic score. Looked to be going outside it, but it is a fantastic score from the right corner. And Colm Dillon has cut the deficit to 1. It's 4 points to Miltown. It's 3 points to Doonbeg, and there's 13 minutes gone here. 13 minutes gone. Another fabulous score. And remember now, we've 7 points at 13. That's an average of 1 every 2 minutes. And that was the pick of the bunch there for Colm Dillon. Got it on his right foot. You know exactly what he gave it. Plenty of height, right into the Cooler Care sky. Dropped between the posts. And we're back to a 1 point game. Sean has found his man, but it's helter-skelter. You know, Gordon Kelly will much of years of experience back there. So to his tail, after the invitation to build through the back, and the 2015 championship winning captain Brian Curtin, Shawnee Malone, they're all taking their time on the ball, more clinical in front of goal. The players will be exhausted. We'll be exhausted this rate, because we could do with a bit of a breeze here at this stage. There isn't a moment, like the kickouts are so quick. You know, the restarts, it's really, the intensity and the pace is really up here. That's true, and Jim Tuberty, or Jim in the middle of the field, Jim Hickey, has said to him as well, right, well, as we're back in action again, you have enough of a break, we'll go again. And in fairness to Jim, he's right on task with right beside the play, which is all you'd expect of a referee, and Jim has years of experience as well. Miltown playing up here to the Clare end, in Clare, they're playing up here to the village end. Doonbeg will feel there's a slight advantage playing down the field, but they had those 4 wides, and that would have been a great tonic even if they'd brought it back to 3 on that last attack, because they had the players over, and as I say, 4 wides to 2 on the scoreboard. Miltown that bit more clinical, and that all about ball retention. Absolutely, and Shawnee Malone is coming out from defence, and he looks to find Aidan McGuan. Aidan McGuan just misjudges, and Carl Killeen does manage to pick in. I think the interesting fact here is that Doonbeg are going man-to-man this game. There's no sweeper, no man back, and it means that Brian Curtin has to mark at the back, not his usual position, but it's Miltown that win it back in his own Cleary, and he's got a power inside these legs. He gets away from Tig Lillis, looks inside to Ger Malone, he's got space, he just off the keeper, oh, it's gone into the left corner, and what a score for Ger Malone, all made by Owen Cleary, and he managed to be patient. Ger Malone had a shot for a point that went wayward a few minutes ago, but managed to check inside the goalkeeper and hit to the net. Yeah, he turned on his right leg, and you know, normally when you turn back into space you should be kitting with the kit to hug, but Ger had the confidence to steady himself. It took a deflection, a despairing hand from the Doonbeg boys, couldn't keep it out of the net, but full marks to Graham there. There's Graham's turning over on Kevin Pinder that set up the over, you know, turned over the ball, and then from there on in, on Cleary drew them in, gave it to Ger. Good goal from Miltown, 4 points to the good as we edge ever closer to that half time in first half, if you can have it, for that water break on the 15th minute. Yeah, coming up there at the end of the first quarter, and a crucial timely score for Miltown. They're now 1-4 to 3 points up. We're just on the 15-minute mark, so it won't be long before Jim Hickey is blowing a whistle. Doonbeg are going to want a quick response, and it is Kevin Pender, the captain, that's leading the charge. He's just about the halfway line and manages to get a free for his troubles, and Jim Hickey has said that Kevin Pender is fouled, so it gives an opportunity, but Michael Tuberty gives it quickly to David Tuberty. David Tuberty about halfway, but once David Tuberty gets the ball, there's about 4 Miltown men that surround him. He manages to get it away, and he gets it to Tig Lillis. Tig Lillis under immense pressure, but manages to win the free. He was a lucky boy there, because Miltown were coming in swarms, and it's David Tuberty gets it quickly underway. It's running good inside the 40-metre line. He gets inside Don Tuberty. He's got a small bit of space here. He looks for a shot at goal, but after going just to the right and wide, an opportunity there, Joe. An opportunity certainly for Owen, you know. Seemed to be caught between 2 minds as to whether he'd kick it over the bar or go for goal. Threw his left leg at it, you know, he'd be disappointed with the attempt. There's the water break, and an opportunity for everyone to catch their breath at 1-4 to 3 points, 1 goal and 7 points in that first 15 minutes, and it's been helter-skelter. Restarts, you know, feature of the game now, and it's all about ball retention off those as well. They're so quickly off the tees, off Eamon Tuberty and Sean O'Brien, and I'm quite sure Miltown will go in, they will feel that they've arrested the early momentum Doonbeg have, and they go in with a 4
4-point lead, and Doonbeg will certainly rue those 4 chances they've kicked wide.
I just mentioned there about Doonbeg going man to man. I think probably everyone would have, Miltown definitely would have expected that they maybe would have drawn a man back just to make things more secure at the back, but they're going for it. They're really tenacious.
But I mean, Doonbeg, you might as well be beaten here by one section of the championship. 2 points is won, because one way or another you're at the championship. So you have to have a cut at it, and Doonbeg will fancy their chances if they can get right in there for the last 10. Huge turnover by Gordon on Kevin Pinder and Lord of Parker. Owen Cleary was there to profit from him. Draw 3 defenders, give it to Ger. Ger had the presence of mind to slip inside, and it looked as if he was going with his left, but he went with his right, but managed to squeeze it inside under Eamon Tuberty's legs as well. So a good opportunity. Great kick out again from Sean O'Brien. We're underway here for part 2.
Yeah, the second quarter, and hopefully it's going to be as exciting as the first. And it's Graham Kelly on the ball. He's in the left corner. He's been tackled by Cian O'Mahony and manages to win a free. He's been held in the challenge. There is a bit of protest, but they want to push back because Miltown have got a free in a very advantageous position, although it's a very acute angle. And it's Conor Cleary that's looking to step up to hit this one. It's Conor from the right. It's Owen Cleary with his left foot. So they're managing the twins to manage it very well.
Yes, Conor kicked a fine point off his right a while ago. This now will suit him a little bit better, but it's from a standing start, so we'll just follow the flight of it to the far side of the field and attempting to extend that Miltown lead.
No, it's gone after going to the right and wide, and it is a miss for Miltown. It's their third wide of this game, but they are 4 points to the good here, as we said. There's about coming up to the 19th minute, and again a quick start. It's Eamon Tuberty, and he's looking for Brian Egan at this stage, but it's Brian Curtin that wins it back. The 2015 captain manages to get in the way on the passage of the ball. He gives it back to Aidan McGuan, and we're underway again. He's looking up in the right wing, and here we are with Cian Mahony. Cian Mahony finds Gordon Kelly. Gordon Kelly has a bit of space, and he gives it to Conor Cleary. Conor Cleary, they're just passing the halfway line. Shawnee Malone has come up from his full-back berth, and that's going to be a good sign for Miltown. They're really going forward at this stage. It's Conor Cleary again. He gives it back to Graham Kelly. They're being patient. The last one came up with a great score for Conor Cleary when it happened to this, and now it's Owen Cleary on the ball, and he's after making a burst to 2 defenders. Gives it off to Shawnee Malone, and he in turn finds Oisin Looney. Oisin Looney checks, was going to have a shot, but gives it back to Gerald Malone. They're all being patient here. Nobody really wants to shoot, but the captain says, I'll have a go, and it's Shawnee Malone. Unfortunately, that's to the right and wide, and now we're level on wides. It's 4 wides for Miltown, it's 4 wides for Doonbeg. Probably a little bit ambitious there.
Yeah, no, the Malone brothers there combining. Gerald got the shout from Shawnee. Shawnee, of course, won a championship here in Clare actually at intermediate level, playing in the inside line, that side and the full forward line. And now he's playing the inside line at the back as full back and captain of the side today. But come right up the field off his right leg. He'd fancy his chances from there. Of course, he's played centre back for County 21 teams in the past and Clare Senior as well, so he's well capable of kicking scores. That one went astray. Doonbeg don't need to reply. They need to bring this back down to a 3-point game. They're gone raiding down the far side of the ground, and in the presence of Pádraig Ahern, he'll look for Tig Lillis. Is there a score coming up for the Magpies?
Well, he's going to have an effort then. He's about 40 metres out, and he managed to get a score, and that's a very good score for Doonbeg. The young man wasn't daunted by that. He managed to hit it over from 40 metres, and that's an opening score for Tig Lillis, and it means that Doonbeg, it's back to a 3-point game here, only a 3-point deficit, but we haven't much time to ponder that score because Shawnee Malone's about to kick out the ball, and he's
Sean O'Brien.
Shawnee O'Brien, sorry, he's about to kick out the ball, and he's looking for Conor Cleary. Conor Cleary just goes through his hands, and it's Sean Conway that picks up. Sean Conway taking on his man, he takes on Aidan McGuan and passes him out. Just managed to lose the ball in contact, but still, but Brian Curtin wins it back, and his own 45-metre line. The ball's moved quickly. It's through Conor Cleary, and Conor Cleary finds out to Shawnee Malone again. This time it is Shawnee Malone, and he manages to pass the halfway line, come up in a bit of trouble from Ronan Good, but manages to win a free. The captain, and it's Miltown that have the ball again. They're on halfway. They're against a bit of a gale here, not gale, but a bit of a breeze here, and it's Oisin Looney that starts off again. Oisin Looney gives inside to Aidan McGuan. Aidan McGuan gets it to Owen Cleary, and unorthodox, but he gets them all back, and he's on just about the 45-metre line, and he makes an incisive run and has an effort at it. It's going to be high, and it's a great score. What a score!
No, it's not a score.
Doonbeg say it's not. It deserved a score.
Jim Hickey, what has happened is now there's the man on the left has signalled the wide, the man on the right has signalled the point. Jim Hickey's going in to have a chat. Eamon Tuberty's adamant it was wide. There's no surprise there. David Telty's coming from Miltown to say it's got over the bar. So Jim Hickey has a little bit of negotiating to do to say he's gone. It looks like he's gone having a chat with Martin Downs, the linesman on the far side. In fairness to the officials, good officiating. So Martin Downs on the far side beside the stand, the Dave Owen official, will have a good idea of it, and he's going to indicate one way or another. And Eamon Tuberty, judging by the way he's chasing Martin Downs out, that it looks as if he he is signalled the point as well, but no, it's gone wide. Okay.
All that debate, it's actually gone wide. But it was an effort that deserved a score, but it's Doonbeg fought their cause, and it's wide as 1-4 to Miltown. Still for 1-4 to Miltown, and Doonbeg 4 points. And we have an injury at the moment, and it's Ronan Good that's down, and he's going to receive a bit of treatment. It gives everyone a chance to draw their bet.
Even the two umpires are still discussing it above. But it's is it
27
one way or another. I don't know who is
Jack
signalled
Chaplin's
it.
down
It's
there.
Jack Chaplin. I think it's Gerard Kelly, maybe from Clare this here at the near side. Hard to see from here, but getting a little bit dusky here now in suburban Clare. And you keep talking about this breeze. There's no breeze here. Obviously, you're over in suburban Innis. This is a breeze. This isn't the breeze back here. The puff.
Well, this is a puff or not. Well, I'm not feeling any puff, but that's because we're slightly sheltered here. But it's Eamon Tubridy that gets matters back, and it's Ronan Good who's back on his feet, who looks to get the ball, but Conor Cleary picks up possession. He gives out to Aidan McGuan. We're here right on the touchline here in front of us, and it's Gerard Malone that passes the 45-metre line. Gives the Keane Mahoney, checks inside, gives it back to Gerard Malone. He's in an acute angle. He looks outside. He's going to have a go anyway. He passes across the square. Probably caught in two minds there, Joe, but manages to hit the ball wide, and that's Miltown's 6th wide of the opening half, and we're just gone 23 and a half minutes gone.
Yes, and again, if Doonbeg were wasting the first quarter, Miltown have been wasting the second. As you say, there's 3 or 4 wides there in succession. They haven't added to that. Doonbeg will take half from that. Sean Conway is becoming a little bit more prominent here on the wing as well, beginning to raid a little. Doonbeg, will feel they need to stay in the game. They don't want to concede another goal. They want to make sure that as this game goes on, there's more and more questions asked to the Miltown boys. Tighlin is hugely impressed with him so far. That was a fabulous point he kicked a few moments ago. And Pádraig Ahern, they're beginning to settle into the game a little bit better because Miltown haven't made good on the possession they have. Cian O'Mahony racing up the middle of the field. Doonbeg holding onto the ball for all it's worth. Colm Dillon in possession.
Yes, but Miltown have 14 men back in their own half, so it's going to mean a very tough ask for Michael Tubridy. He does check back, and he has to go back all the way to halfway for Pádraig Ahern. Pádraig Ahern gives it back to Carl Killeen. Carl Killeen back to Tig Lillis in the middle of the field, and he gives it on to Brian Egan. They're going to build this one slowly. He plays inside, but that looks to be going nowhere. But Owen Tubridy has chased a lost cause. There's no lost cause for Doonbeg today. Gerard Malone looks to have picked up an injury when he did that, but Owen Tubridy has the ball in the left corner. He's been tackled by Oisin Noon. He still managed to get away. He's going to have a shot at goal here. That looks to be wide at this side, and it is. This time it is wide.
Yeah,
and the officials say so.
There was no doubt or question about that. We were right in line, but in fairness to Owen Tubridy, as you said, never give up the ghost. It looked as if Gerard Malone had it cut out. Poor ball, it has to be said, from Brian Egan, but went over his head, and Owen kept after it. Managed to make a scoring opportunity out of nothing. Turned on his right leg, danced off his left foot, but then kicked it wide at his own side. So poor wide for Doonbeg. Nevertheless, they'll be quite contented. We edge ever closer. We've got 25 minutes on the clock, and Doonbeg have the ball once again. Great leap in the field. Michael Tubridy, primary school teacher, gives it to Tig Lillis, and back in his position at centre half back, and Doonbeg go raiding down the far side, and over there on the far side of the field, once again keeping possession of the football.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's Doonbeg that get back, and they're looking to get back into this game as well. They're 3 points behind, but Ronan Good gets the ball in a bit of space. He's just outside the 45-metre line. That's not going to reach it, and Shawnee Malone is quickly out to it in front of Colm Dillon. They're just a little bit untidy here at the back, and Owen O'Brien under a little bit of pressure from Carl Killeen. What's he going to do with it? He gives it to Shawnee Malone. He's about 2 yards away from him, but he was a lucky boy to get a free there.
I think Shawnee Malone, the last thing he wanted was a pass. He was standing right beside him, and he got not only the pass, but he got 2 Doonbeg men with it, and lucky, as you said, to get a free. But Miltown are finding it hard to get their mojo going. They're making a lot of silly mistakes, handling others, things like that you don't associate with them, and they're giving Doonbeg heart, because the next score, if it goes the way of Doonbeg, they'll be absolutely thrilled with this response, particularly having been maybe played second fiddle in the first quarter. Conor Cleary has stolen a march from Michael Tubridy, bit of space in front of the big Miltown man.
Yeah, and here he goes, and he passes the ball inside to Cormac Murray. Cormac Murray slips, but manages to get the ball back in the feet, and he's been tackled away from by Kevin Pender, the captain, and it was enough to get possession back for Doonbeg. This is really, really entertaining stuff. It's David Tubridy, and he's been 3 minutes gone, and it's a 3-point game, and Eamon Tubridy quick to get back and get a response from Doonbeg just before that half-time whistle. We're 33 and a half minutes gone, but instead it's Aidan McGuan that wins back, followed by Gordon Kelly. Gordon Kelly giving him enough of it here, but it's David Tubridy shrugs him off for a second, but then comes Owen Cleary. He's really surrounded, and it gives off to Ronan Good. He's eyes 45-metre line, and Cormac Murray gives what looked to be a shoulder. I don't know, it looked to be a shoulder.
Yeah, in first viewing, and he was poorly. I don't think there's anything malicious in it now. Doonbeg are in arms over Cormac Murray, but Jim Hickey's around a long time. He'll calm things down. It could very well mean a card. There's all sorts of demands being made on the officials from that side. But if he deals it was late, or if it's head height, it could be more more than a yellow, but I would imagine certainly a card coming the way of Cormac Murray. Nothing malicious in the tackle, as I say, but maybe the timing was off. But Doonbeg, you could see they're rising into the battle, and Jim will calm things down. Let's say, off you go. I'll deal with the affairs, and I'm quite more than likely, I would imagine, it will be a yellow card for Cormac Murray.
It is indeed, and the first yellow card of the game for Cormac Murray, just a little bit mistimed on Ronan Good, and it gives Doonbeg an opportunity to take a free in their own 45-metre line, and it's David Tuberty that's going to take it. Jim just calming matters down, just a little bit of composure, a little bit of patience, and Doonbeg need to get back here on the scoring zone. They're 3 points behind. They'll be satisfied enough with that position, but they'll need to go and try and get more conversion rate on the game so far.
You just see Enda Gorman. Enda, of course, would have lined out cornerback the last day. India is out hurt at the moment. Obviously, he's after calling David Telty here to have a chat with him. He's on up here on the stand beside us as well. We have Garrod Curtin, we've Joe Curtin, all championship winners in the past with Miltown, carrying injuries into the game, and just shows you the riches that are up there in St. Joseph's Miltown Malbay at the moment. But nevertheless, they're in some battle here. 1-4 to 4 points, 28 minutes 3 seconds on the clock, and Jim says, right lads, when we're ready we'll get back. A word too for Kevin Pinder a few moments ago. Great turnover by the big man at full back. He had to use every bit of his frame, and there's plenty of him there to win back that ball for Doonbeg. Vital turnover, and they're the type of things that fatten a team. It gives great encouragement to the lads around him, particularly the younger lads, as they drive forward into the game. We edge ever closer to half-time break, and Miltown 3 to the good.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's David Tuberty has the ball in his hands, and we're about to get battles underway because Ronan Good, who was down for a second time with an injury, and he's back on his feet, thankfully. Jim is just stopping play again because we're looking down, unless the umpire has his hand out here. It's his son James that has his hand out, so we're going to see there's really off the ball stuff here. It's managed to heat up, but the clock is ticking inexorably down, and we're into the 29th minute of the half. It's going to be 4 or 5 minutes, you'd imagine. There
will certainly be that, and in fairness to the officials, that's what you want to see. You want the officials correspond with each other. He'll be having a word with someone. Now, invariably when you see that happening, it's a back that's in trouble, but we'll just go. I'm sure he'll say to somebody, calm it down, because the game has been played in a good spirit. That mistimed tackle apart, he's dealt with it. He's having a word now with somebody off the ball. It could very well be Michael Tuberty and Oisin Looney. Now there's been a change there. Oisin Looney has gone on Michael Tuberty. He had the onerous task of following Conor Cleary earlier on, but right now Miltown go down the wing. Owen Tuberty in possession. Good fronting by the Doonbeg man, and Sean Conway, County 21 captain early in the year, is going to have a pot from distance.
He is, and it's gone high in the air, and that's one for Shawnee O'Brien. He's safe pair of hands underneath it. He's put under pressure by Colm Dillon, manages to win a free out, and that's taken quickly after Brian Curtin. A flash of lightning there, Joe. I don't know if that was just your brain sparkling to hear, but that looked to be dangerous enough. But it's Miltown that are trying to take out their own half. Are we in danger here with the electricity? But anyway, we'll keep going till we can. It's Cian Mahoney on the ball. He's around halfway. Conor Cleary's making the overlap, and he is about to be found, and as is Michael Tuberty is back following him again. He crosses right down the centre, but it's Kevin Pender lost it for a second, but he has good backup behind him, and that's Cian Mahoney. Gives it out to Michael Tuberty. Michael Tuberty getting back to Pádraig Ahern. Pádraig Ahern in turn feeding it out to Joe Blake, and that's really, really patient stuff from Doonbeg. Gives it back to Cathal Killeen. Cathal Killeen's about his own 40-metre line. Gives it back to Pádraig Ahern. Pádraig Ahern looked to be a high challenge, but Jim Hickey isn't about to blow anything at this stage. The tackles are hot and heavy, and he does now give a free. He does give a free.
And fair, you said his patient stuff from Doonbeg was also fairly precise by Doonbeg boys. Kept possession of the ball. I think he signalled a head injury. It looks as if Gordon has come back in. No, it's number 18 for Miltown that was in trouble. Was it on the far side? We'll find out. No, he's actually warming up on the far side. Maybe it was an injury they had reported to him. But Gordon's back in action now, manning his position at 6. Conor Cleary at the moment is picking up Ronan Good. Doonbeg to have the football go raiding, and if they could edge ever closer to Miltown, they'd be delighted with the second quarter, because Miltown, I don't think, have added to their score since that we had that water break. 1-4 to 3 at that stage, and now it's 1-4. So we haven't had many scores in the second quarter, but Doonbeg will be delighted with their lads' efforts, particularly the younger players, really stacking up to the mark in the famed black and white jersey.
Yes, but the pace and the intensity hasn't dropped whatsoever. It's a really frenetic game here, end-to-end stuff, and it's Doonbeg that have the ball, and there is no Miltown man in the Doonbeg half at the moment. That's the way both sides are playing. They'll defend when they defend, and they go on the counter-attack, and it's Pádraig Ahern that has an acre of space here. Gives it back to Tig Lillis. He's on his own 45-metre line. He's got plenty of time and plenty of space to look around him, and he looks to pick out Joe Blake. Joe Blake Now they're making a bit of ground. They're past the halfway line. It's off to Owen Tuberty. There's a bit of a late challenge there on Joe Blake, but Owen Tuberty has the ball. He's after passing the 45-metre line. There's 3 Miltown men surrounding him. One of them fouled him, and he manages to win a free.
And a needless free as well. I don't know, was it Owen O'Brien he deemed to be late in the tackle because Miltown had turned over the ball. David Tuberty said, thank you very much. This is well within his radar. We know that from years past, not only in the black and white of Doonbeg, but in the saffron and blue of the county as well. And David, one of the outstanding footballers of his generation here in the county, I'm quite sure he'll fancy his chances for this. We'll follow the flight of it. We'll have a good measure of it. We're 32 minutes into the first half. This to bring it back to a 2-point game, and I'm sure Brian Dillon and Eddie Killeen and the boys will get Doonbeg in for their huddle. They won't be hitting the dressing room obviously nowadays, but they'll be going over under the stand here in front of the dressing room in Clare, and they'll say, right lads, this is going to be some battle going right down to the wire. David Tuberty 40 metres out to narrow the gap once more.
Absolutely, he's just about to kick that ball. He's kicking with the right foot this time. Looks to be good, and it is, and it's back to a 2-point game here. It's Miltown 1-4, it's Doonbeg 5 points. They're eating into that deficit in this second quarter and be very, very happy. We're 33 minutes into the game. In a commentary in association with Jones's Super Value in Miltown Mulby, they'll be happy enough at the moment because Miltown are ahead, but Doonbeg are creeping closer and closer back into this game.
They're forcing Sean O'Brien out to go along. He'll fancy his chance with Conor Cleary. You can see that Conor has that edge of Michael Tuberty in height. He's found Gordon, and Gordon will only go on one way. Mo Deireach right up the Lorna Park here in Clare, and he will look for a forward to finish off this move.
He is, and he's managed to find Cian Mahoney. Cian Mahoney is surrounded by 2 Doonbeg men, gives it back to Owen Cleary. He's got a bit of space, and he takes full advantage of that space to manage to get an immediate reply from Miltown, and it means that the gap is back out to 3. It's 1-5 to 5 points here, even though the scoreboard says differently, but it's 30 back on that right corner. He cuts inside again. He finds Owen Cleary. Owen Cleary checks one way. He's surrounded by 2 Doonbeg men, but managed to find his twin brother. Conor has less time than he thought. David Tuberty was zoning in there. He looks inside, and that's one for Graham Kelly, but it's cut out just in time. But Cian Mahoney managed to win back possession for Miltown. An acute angle, and that's a great score for Cian Mahoney. A hesitancy again from the umpires, but it managed. That's 2 points in a row for Miltown. They now lead by 4 again, just as they did at that water break, and it's 1-6 to 5 point. A good response from Miltown. Huge
response from the champions, just to puncture that Doonbeg momentum that they'd built up, and 2 points in quick succession has done that, because from being a 2-point game now it's out to a 2-score game. 4 points in the Miltown lead at the moment. Colm Dillon has come out to win a vital ball, and that by itself, Kevin Pinder in fairness has been fouled. He's going to try and restart. Doonbeg need to respond as we edge ever closer, probably maybe the last attack now of this half. They look for David Tuberty, shadowed ever closely by Gordon. 2 great half, but Miltown still reasonably comfortable, you'd have to say. 7 points to the good, and now playing the ball out of defence. They know if they can find the space, they have the pace. Joe Blake, great anticipation by the veteran full cornerback here for Doonbeg. He knocks it up, and Doonbeg go raiding once more here in front of the commentary box.
Yeah, and they're kind of get out of their own half, but they're under a bit of pressure. Conor Cleary is looking for a line ball, but it's Pádraig O'Hearn that wins it, and Joe Blake is going to take it under a bit of protest, but he's around the halfway line. His options aren't great, I'll be honest, and he's going to have to probably go back at this stage because there's 2 Doonbeg men right in their own half back line. That's where he looks for one of them. He actually finds the goalkeeper, Eamon Tuberty, who's come out as far as the 45-metre line, and it's all hands to the pump here for Doonbeg. They've got to get back into the game, but there's great pace shown by Cian O'Mahony. He in turn finds Sean Conway out in the left wing. He's made it to the left corner. He's trying to cut inside. He's got a number of Miltown men for company. He fists it and he puts it over the bar, and that's a fantastic score for Sean Conway. That's his first of the game, and indeed his first of the championship, and it means that it now is back to 2-score game. It's 2-7 to 7 points. Neither side got a goal in the opening round, but it's crucial that Miltown have got 2 today.
And that's the difference. Just as we see it, Graham Kelly has received a yellow card. That won't unduly bother him too much. Graham has got plenty of cards in his career on that one, but I don't know what it was. I'd say it was maybe for a persistent fouling or something. Nothing untoward, nothing malicious about it, but Graham is around a long time. He'll know that once you're on a yellow you have to be extra careful, and he'll get back down, I'm sure, to the full forward position very quickly. His brother Gordon is on the ball. Miltown now need to respond. They don't want to give Doonbeg heart. They want to make sure that there's plenty of daylight between the sides as we edge ever closer. Good response from Doonbeg to come back to that goal, and they kick the last 2 points. Miltown, however, go looking for Cormac Murray once more.
And instead they find Cian O'Mahony. Cian Mahoney finds Cormac Murray. He's managed to get past Kevin Pender. He's 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper. Oh, that's a fantastic save That's a fantastic save for Eamon Tubridy. He was one-on-one. Cormac Murray was bearing down on goal and managed to get some sort of a hand to it, and it goes out for a 45. That could be a crucial moment, Joe.
It could be. Cormac is just dancing feet. He swivels on a proverbial sixpence, got inside, and he's only one thing on his mind. A bit like Joe McGann from St. Brickens as well. They're good inside forwards who have a goal on their mind at every opportunity. The point is a secondary importance to them. But on that last occasion, Eamon Tubridy, the big man, you put up his left paw, pushed it out for a 50. Eamon, once he has an imposing frame inside and goals, not a use it comes off his leg. It does, however, as near to centre makes no difference from a 45, and I'm quite sure kicking into the car park in here in Clare, you'd fancy the Clare senior football captain to land this one from there.
Absolutely. He's got 9 points in the championship so far, 6 in the first round, and he's just added, he's gone into double figures. That's 10 for the championship and 4 today as he kicks a 45, and it's just in time for Miltown. And there's going to be a substitution here. Kevin Keevy looks to be coming on the field. Not sure who's about to go off, but it looks like Graham Kelly, who looks to be limping at this stage, and Graham is coming off the field. We're 9 minutes into the second half.
Kevin will play on right half forward. That's his traditional position the last couple of years. His direct opponent now will be Sean Conway. Graham will go off. He took a knock as well, and of course maybe the yellow card as well. Great warriors of Clare football. David will be trying to engineer a score. He might just do that with Paul Dillon.
And Paul Dillon has the ball in his hands. It's an ambitious effort. It's kind of like a Gary Owen, and it's won back by Conor Cleary, and that is the last action of the half. A really end-to-end half here with little time for breath, but at the end of it, it's Miltown 1-6, it's Doonbeg 5 points. Crucial 2-point swing there just for Miltown in the last couple of minutes.
That's true. Doonbeg had the momentum with him, but it was just that little bit of patience that Miltown could build up, and they have those scores. We know about the class of this young Cian Mahoney, and he just showed it there. Picked up, Doonbeg were appealing for a pick up off the ground, but he just kept his eyes on the football, turned on his right leg, and then with a little bit precision, that Billy, at his years, I suppose, in the championship, he had that time and that composure to snip a point, pinch a point from a tight angle, and it gives Miltown a 4-point interval lead. They just about deserve. They deserve to be in front. 4 points might flatter them a little bit because Doonbeg is the better of that second quarter, and I'm quite sure Brian Dillon will say, lads, we're very much in this game. If we could get a goal at all, a major here in Clare, this one will go right down to the wire. Miltown, though, 4 points up, they'll be reasonably comfortable, reasonably happy with that in the first half, even though we've only seen the patches of what they can do. That in fairness is a great compliment to Doonbeg boys who've gone every step of the way with them.
Absolutely, and you've gone every step of the way as well. His cheeks are red here, so we better take a break. But at the moment at half time here, join us in 2 minutes. It's Miltown 1-6, it's Doonbeg 5 points.
Thanks there to Owen and to Joe for an exciting first half commentary in Clare of the second round game between Doonbeg and Miltown. As we have lightning, thunder first. Thunder Davis started the game. I suppose a bit of thunder was in the field too.
Yeah, it was a championship battle, and that's what you want. In that both teams win for it. They know that it's winner takes all today, so there's no point in hanging around and trying to ease yourself into just go for it. And both teams did, and it was aggressive, and it was everything you'd want and what you'd expect. But there was some very good football as well, some very good scores. Colm Dillon kicked a very good one. It looked like Owen Cleary had kicked a good one, but it took about a minute or two to decide whether it was a point or not. But he got one. Connor got one as well. Tadhg Lillis came up and kicked a good point. David Tubridy from free, Owen Cleary from play. So a lot of teams will be happy. So the big difference is the goal, and it was well worked, stuck by Jeremy Malone. He's been waiting a while for that chance, so he'll be delighted. But Miltown will probably be happier in that. We'll say both teams had periods of domination, but Doonbeg probably dominated the first 10 minutes and it was level. Miltown dominated the next 10 minutes and scored 1-2. That's kind of where they'll be happier, and that both teams had periods of dominance, but Miltown seemed to break even in Doonbeg's ones.
the rain is starting to come down on top of us. I don't know how long we're going to last out here, but I suppose, David, it definitely, as you said, it is a real knockout game. I mean, I suppose the shock of the round so far was the game inside in Cusick Park where Breckens got the win over in his time, and I suppose we hear rumours that Donny Garrity was crying after the match, but I suppose that's the emotion. I suppose the goal you said was the difference. I suppose Miltown were threatening that. They'd made 3 or 4 runs straight to the centre, and as you said, the final pass hadn't worked, and eventually it did.
Yeah, you'll think that eventually they probably will end up maybe getting another one because they are getting through that little bit easier. Doonbeg tried at the start to give a long ball into Colm Dillon. Now it wasn't really working, and then they started kicking points and kick some very nice ones. So they'll probably move a little bit away from the going long. Miltown seem to have them on the turnover. It's that thing where if you try and carry the ball into the Miltown half back line, it's a hard area to break down, and they do break at a lot of pace. So Doonbeg will probably look to try and bypass them a little bit more if they can, or take the shots a little bit earlier. But look, another goal for Miltown will probably finish it. If Doonbeg get a score or two, it's anyone's game then.
Yeah, I suppose when you look at the as we said there, what would you think now that if you were the Doonbeg manager and team, they're going to have to say to themselves, right, we're 4 points down, how are we going to get through Miltown? Is there a goal in us? How are we going to say we're going to win by 5, in other words?
Well, like they're not going to change an awful lot. It's just like they've win for it. It's not like they've sat back and tried to see what Miltown had and done. They've gone for it. They've dominated large periods of the game as well. They just haven't got the score. So more or less what they'll be looking at is that at the minute they're probably going to, every time they get into the Miltown 45, they may be getting 1 score in every 4. They're going to have to up that to maybe getting 3 out of 5 for a while. Whereas Miltown seem to be a little bit more economical when they get into the Doonbeg half.
I suppose one thing that Miltown have, I suppose David Turbary also represents that for Doonbeg, but Miltown have an own Cleary. If they can set him up like a quarterback onto that left foot, he's going to get 2 or 3 points in this half. It's
definitely something that they can that is an adventure, and what they have a little bit of experience playing together as well is that lads won't take the shot, they'll wait and they'll give it to him, so they hold off until he's free, so it is working for him. But then Doonbeg, David's probably having to be a little bit more of a playmaker than Owen is, so Owen is getting to wait and get on the end of it. David's probably having to set up the move and then try and get to the end of it as well, so that's probably where it's breaking down a little bit. But look, it's anyone's say the next 10 minutes will be key. If Doonbeg can win the next 10 minutes, even if it's only by a point, then we have a battle. If Miltown win the next 10 minutes, you'll think they may start to pull away.
You're saying if Miltown could go 5 or 6 points up going into the last quarter, they just have to shut up shop and stay tight. If Doonbeg can go into the third water break 2 points down, 3 points down, and playing plenty ball, they're definitely going to be in contention.
Oh, they will, because they give it everything. You see that against them in a time where the last they were behind, and all of a sudden they have an ability of getting a couple of scores. The crowd, there's not much for a crowd, but it seems to be nice. The big crowd here, it'll lift them. They'll get a couple of scores if they can just get. It's the key, just getting on a roll if they can at all. But the next 10 minutes is going to be key.
I was exceptionally impressed with the way Doonbeg went at Miltown early in the first 15 minutes, and we sort of commented up in the hill that perhaps that might catch them in terms of the energy.
Yeah, Miltown really weren't expecting that. They were probably expecting it to be a little bit more like last year. Doonbeg would sit back, but in fairness, they just win for it, and that was it.
I suppose we better go back now, so hand you back up to the Crow's Nest there to Owen Brennan and to Joe Gary.
But at the moment, it's kind of tied down a slight bit. It's a bit babby. But we're about to get
we do have lightning here in Clare. We don't have a breeze, but we do have lightning, and hopefully the rain will stay off. Right now, Jim Hickey is underway, has his ball thrown up in the air, and Conor Cleary is jumping all by himself. There was something off the ball. Looks like it's a free to Doonbeg. Colm Dillon was arrested as he tried to jump for that, and Conor Cleary, I'm sure, couldn't believe his look. But nevertheless, Doonbeg have possession, and Sean Conway on the far side of the ground going raiding into Miltown territory.
Sean Conway makes up great ground, but it's Miltown that are really dattling back, and it looks to be a trip. Which way is it? And it's a Doonbeg free. Sean Conway looked to be adjudged to be tripped in that occasion, and it's Doonbeg that have the free.
And this is David Tuberty territory now. David will put the ball down, and I'm quite sure he'll be urging this over the bar. We've seen him do it many's the time for Clare, and kicked a couple of beautiful points the last day out for the Clare lads as well. Above in Breffni, hopefully we'll see Clare action in a couple of weeks' time against Fermanagh and Dinarmagh as well. Our quest for Division 1 football continues. We'll stay with the play here in Clare, an angle of maybe 45-50 degrees. David Tuberty's about 45-50 metres out from Sean O'Brien's goal, and we'll follow the flight of it.
Yeah, it's a low trajectory in the ball, and Sean O'Brien that catches it right under the floodlights are on here in Clare as well, just to bring a bit of extra sparkle to it. And it doesn't need much, because it's Brian Curtin in his own corner, managed to get it back to Conor Cleary. Conor Cleary finds Owen O'Brien across his own square, and it's Seanie Malone that has it, and under pressure a bit from Cathal Killeen, but managed to get out to Gordon Kelly here on the right corner. Gordon Kelly followed by David Tuberty, but Miltown have a small bit of space. And Cian Mahoney plays a foot pass. He's looking for Cormac Murray. That just goes over his head, but it's Jared Malone that picks up. He gives it back to Cormac Murray. There's a small bit of space here. Oh, it's a goal! It's in the right corner of the net. And what a back to front move from Miltown. Passed over the head of Cormac Murray, but Jared Malone was there to give it back to him, and he just powered through on the overlap.
Oh, that was some goal all the way, from Sean O'Brien. Remember, David Tuberty's free kick dropped short. From there on in, Miltown have full control of the ball. They brought it across the pitch. Seanie Malone and Tato and Brian Curtin all involved. Found their space. Beautiful pass by Cian Mahoney into the inside line. Ger Malone read the flight of it best. And of course, Cormac Murray then had slipped inside Kevin Pinder on the turn. He's got very quick feet. Miltown have turned it over again. They'll go for the kill.
And they will. And it looks to try and lob him in Tuberty, but it's Owen Cleary that was a little bit ambitious, and it's Pádraig Ahern that picks up possession. Pádraig Ahern is in, and Doonbeg have a long way back here. They would have been relatively satisfied with their first half efforts, but leaking a goal so early in the second half means that it's a big mountain to climb for Doonbeg. It's 2-6 to 5 points. There's 7 points in it now at this stage, and look, there's time is on their side, but they've got to make hay while the sun shines here a small bit. And it's Tig Lillis in his own 45-metre line has to check back again. There's 3 Miltown men around him, but he finds Ronan Good again under pressure. It's Conor Cleary, seems to be everywhere there around the centre. He gets it off to Pádraig Ahern on the left wing. He's just passing the halfway line. Pádraig Ahern, as he's done so many times, he was there in 2010 and he's still here in 2020, and here we go. It's off to Sean Conway, one of the younger players, and he gives it back to Colm Dillon giving it back to David Tuberty trying to make a bit of inroads here. He's getting past the 45-metre line, but he's right out there on the left wing, and Gordon Kelly is sticking to him like glue, as he has been all afternoon. And it's Cathal Killeen instead that makes a small bit of ground. Oh, that's a late challenge of Michael Tuberty, but he manages to find Cathal Killeen. He's on the ground. There's 2 Miltown men around him. He's going to do well here to get away without giving a free. He managed to pick it up, but picked it straight off the ground without putting his foot underneath it, and it's a free out to Miltown.
Yeah, just a little bit of inexperience there. Miltown, Doonbeg bringing the ball to tackle their big strong men down the middle of Miltown. They like that all day long, and Doonbeg will have to try and I think it's Cathal Killeen might have got a bang in the back of his head, a bang across the back of the pole at some stage in that incident, so he's going to require a little bit of attention, I'm sure. Brian Dillon and Doonbeg lads will be very concerned to get back him in, a good young player from Doonbeg, Cathal Killeen, and as you say, a county minor from last year. Inda Doyle has made his way onto the Doonbeg side in their years and years of experience way back. You mentioned 2010 a couple of times. Inda kicked a point here to beat the Kilmurray boys. He kicked it somewhere over near Rita McNulty's shop, all around Skively Bridge. By the time he let fly, it won the game for Miltown or for Doonbeg on that occasion. They went on to win the championship a couple of weeks later, and he's now back for more. One of the battle-hardened great heroes of Doonbeg football, Gordon Daw, one of the heroes from Miltown. They go raiding once again to get another score. No better men than the Cleary boys to engineer that.
Absolutely, and it's Owen Cleary that looks to have the final shot, and that was a great move, quick flowing hands, and it's Owen Cleary that gets another score for Miltown. That pulls the gap out to 8 points. It's 2-7 to 5 points, and we're only 4 minutes into the second half. A great response from Miltown.
Great response from Miltown. They're going to try and put the game to bed early. They don't want Doonbeg hanging on. Doonbeg to Mando will battle this out to the bitter end. However, they're facing a real uphill challenge here now. They're just, they're battling hard. It's going to be a free out. I think it's Joe. It looks like it's Joe Blake is going to take the free. He's going to add because Graham was in his way. He'll go looking for Paul Dillon. Ball breaks to David Tuberty. They need somebody leadership now for Doonbeg. Now David Tuberty goes parading right through the Miltown defence.
And he's found a chink of light, and he managed to find Ronan Good. Ronan Good's going to have a pot, but that looks to be gone right and wide. Barely made the back netting, to be honest, at that stage, and that's a first wide of the second half for Doonbeg, and indeed the first wide of the second half. There's a Doonbeg mentor on the field. There's some agreement they had. I don't know what.
No, it's something they were pointing down here on the far side of the field. I think it was to do with the last instance involving Joe Blake and Graham, but Brian Dillon wasn't one bit impressed with it. He came in to remonstrate. Pádraig Ahern has turned over the ball again. What a servant Pádraig has been, not only to Doonbeg, will stay with Paul Dillon as he angles up here to narrow that gap.
Paul Dillon looking to get a bit of a response and a bit of a lifeline for Doonbeg. It curls, and that's beautifully over the bar, and it's Doonbeg's first score of the second half, and it pulls back the deficit to only 7 now, but it's Miltown 2-7. It's Doonbeg 6 points. It is a long way back, but that's a step in the right direction.
That's a step in the right direction. Very confident, competent score from Paul Dillon. Knew exactly what he wanted to do. Danced off his left leg, put it on his right. Difficult thing to do from the right angle that he was at, kicking off his right side, but kicked it straight and through. And Jack Chapman, nope hesitation, pointing to the white flag. A fine score for Doonbeg, but they need their older players now to get a hold of the football. Colm Dillon, David Tuberty in the dial, they'll know that they have to get scores, and they won't win the game without goals. We spoke about that at half time. They need to engineer, but the most important bit is to keep eating into that lead. They did it last year, they kept that, and they had chances with Miltown the second. Well, he says shakes hands or touches elbows, I suppose is the right thing you'd say now, to Jim Hickey, and says, right, my race is run for today, but Graham will have a big part to play if Miltown managed to come out of here. He's a hugely experienced player. Pádraig Conway has called a mark from the resulting kick out, and Doonbeg now have to build it through the phases. Pádraig unfortunately has kicked it away.
Jared Malone picks up the ball, gets the interception, gives it off cleverly to Owen Cleary. That was half blocked by Tig Lillis, and it's going to go for another 45. As I mentioned, he just after scoring one a couple of minutes ago, and our team is 7 points to good at the moment. The game is also being live streamed on Clare GA TV, and you can get that on their website, clare.ga.ie. And don't forget, just while we have a moment, and we haven't had many moments, Joe, that don't forget to join us on Clare FM and Clare GA tomorrow afternoon for live coverage of the much anticipated Senior Championship Round 2 bout between Aero and Kilmurray. And if it's half as exciting as this one.
Yes, certainly it's the same venue as well. We'll be back in situ here hopefully for another thriller. There's a couple of flashes of lightning to the south of us. That's Gore Hats country down to our left hand side, but it's all eyes and focus now on Owen Cleary. Micheál Murray says to Cathal Killeen come out of his way. He has to be out, and Jim Hickey echoes that. He says you have to shove back. Owen will take his time though. His team are 7 points to the good. He'll feel the last one kick from the other, follow the flight of it.
Yeah, and it's looking like it's going to tail away to the right and wide, and indeed it does. It's Miltown's first wide of the second half, and they're 7th overall, but they're still 7 points clear here. It's 2-8 to 7 points after 41 minutes. We're getting near to that water break, but it's Miltown that'll be much the happier side. It's a low trajectory to that one, from that one, and it's intercepted by Kevin Keevy. Kevin Keevy comes out, gives it to Conor Cleary. Conor Cleary gives it to Jared Malone. Jared Malone's had a big impact in this game. He looks to look inside to Shawnee Malone, but it was brought back by Doonbeg, and it's Colm Dillon back in his own half back line that wins back possession, gives it to Cathal Killeen, who's managed to really race past the halfway line. He's followed by Oisin Looney, but manages to avoid that tackle. Cian Mahoney's next in, but he gives it back to Colm Dillon. Colm Dillon in much more advantageous offensive position. He looks for Enda Doyle at the edge of the square. Looked to be fouled, and he is. And that's a free in for Enda Doyle, who's come on as a half-time substitute for Doonbeg, and an opportunity for David Tuberty to get the game back to 6 points.
Yeah, I think Enda came in there for Brian Egan there at half-time, and that long ball, good direct ball from Doonbeg into Enda. Enda knows how to frame himself for a football like that, takes the position. I think it was Ewan Reedy, there was a judge to put his hand on his shoulder, and David Tuberty will say, fine, leave it down, we'll notch this hole. But if they keep chipping away, it means the game is still live as we get to the 3-quarter mark. Ever closer now, 12 and a half minutes gone in the third quarter. David Tuberty with a scoreable free kick,
and he does score it indeed, and there was 3 scores before that between the sides, and now there's only 2 kicks of the ball between them, but it means that it's 2-8 to 8 points, and those 2 goals still separate the sides. And it's Shawnee Malone that's quick to kick out the ball. David Tuberty's got 3 frees this afternoon, and that just goes over everyone's head, looking to be going all over the sideline, but Conor Cleary is there. He's surrounded by Colm Dillon, and there's a free for Jim Hickey, calls for Conor Cleary. But again, he's gone back to his officials. He's had a busy afternoon.
He has now. Martin Downs has come in to point out something must to do with the kick out, I would imagine, because he went back in. He said the ball was probably outside the 21, and if that's the case, it's going to be a throw up on the 21 metre line. So it was something to do with the kick out, where Martin Downs was right in line with here the Navan official, and he's saying he probably put up his flag, but we were following the flight of the ball at the far side, so it's a hot ball on the 21, and little things like that can give a little bit of momentum to a team if they can capitalise on it. Colm Dillon, the county senior championship winning captain of 10 years ago, will jump his immediate opponent, Conor Cleary, and it looks as if in the
turn to the post, and it's a big opportunity for David Tuberty to cut the deficit to just 5 here as we're nearing the water break. We're about 44 minutes gone in this crucial round 2 football championship tie, and it's David Tuberty that's going to try and step up to get his 4th of the game and his 10th overall in the championship.
In the dial, all his experience, he knew exactly what he wanted to do. He had no notion of kicking the ball himself. He just lied into the tackle, took a challenge, and got free, which you'd imagine David Tuberty should profit from.
And he does indeed. And that's just in time for the water break, and Jim Hickey allows the teams to go in for that last bit of sustenance before the final quarter. And as we go in, it's Miltown 2-8, it's Doonbeg 9 points. It's kind of swaying over and back. Okay, they had the Cormac Murray goal chance, but at the same time, Doonbeg got a couple of points, but Miltown have fought back, and Doonbeg have got a couple of points again.
Yeah, well, remember now, Miltown have got that 1-2 since half time. Doonbeg have got their 4 points, opportunities. It just means that Miltown have shaded on the scoreboard, but Doonbeg will feel they're still very much in it. Remember it, as I said, they probably need that green flag, to really ask serious questions of Miltown. But nevertheless, they will go to the bitter end. And in fairness to Doonbeg, it's been a brave attempt. As you say, they haven't played sweet level on that stat. But right now, Miltown 5 points, 2-8, that's 14. Doonbeg's Doonbeg 9 points, 5 points between the sides, and all to play for with 15 to play.
Absolutely, and crucially, it's 10 scores to 9 in favour of Miltown, but 2 of those have been goals, and that's the difference. Owen Tuberty's the only real Doonbeg goal chance.
That's true, and that was really only a half chance at best. But Cormac Murray, he's just got dancing feet, and he knows exactly what he wants to do. Turned on that ball that went in, Ger Malone gave it to him. Then he knew, danced off his right, put on his left, and banged it past Eamon Tuberty. And remember, they had another scoring goal chance after that as well. It could have been worse for Doonbeg at that occasion, because Cormac has a good eye for goal. You'd fancy him from there, but nevertheless, we have still quite a way to go. And just as we have a break, just want to send happiest 100th birthday greetings to May Crow from Caradota down there in Killimer. I think there was a drive past today, so heartiest and happiest congratulations to May. A neighbour of hers, Mary Molly Corrie, celebrated her birthday recently as well. She wanted to mention. So as the lightning hits us here in Coraclare, but right now, thankfully, it's staying dry as we look out over picturesque Tullabrack for anybody who's listening in due west of us. Doonbeg go back down. They're defending the goal here at the car park side, coming up here to the village, and it'll be starting back in action now with Sean O'Brien. Sean, you have no doubt, will have a play in mind. He'll go short if he can at all, and Miltown will be trying to edge, make sure they keep those 2 or 3 scores between themselves and the Magpies.
Absolutely, the flash of lightning. I presume you have the weather booked until the final whistle here, that we don't get any rain, and we haven't, in fairness. It's been a lovely, lovely evening, but we're going to restart here with Sean O'Brien. We're 46 and a half minutes into this round 2 tie, and it's Sean O'Brien that gives it out, and it's going to be Micheál Murray that gets it in his own half. It gives it back to the safe hands and the experienced hands of Gordon Kelly, the captain, winning captain in 2018 and 2019. He in turn finds Aidan McGuan, and they're going to build a counter-attack from here, and it's Kevin Keevy, the substitute, that manages to give it back to Shawnee Malone, the captain. The captain looks to, that's a beautiful ball for Oisin Looney on the contract. He's managed to beat his man. He's cutting in. He's about 25 metres out. He gets into Cian Manley. Cian Manley off the crossbar. Oh my God, what a let-off that was for Doonbeg. Cian Manley reading in a goal, but managed to crash the ball up the crossbar, and it came back as quickly as it went in. And this time it's Doonbeg on the counter-attack. It's really into it stuff, and it's Sean Conway.
And just listen to the Doonbeg crowd, they're up in arms. They got a bounce off that. Cian Manley went straight in. The young man just put his foot right through the football. It looked as if it was going to hit the top of the net, and Doonbeg made good their reprieve. Great movement from Sean Conway right up the middle of the field. Owen Cleary chased him back, in fairness to him, but Jim was right on side. He said, you pulled him back, it's a free kick. It'll mean David Tuberty now will take his time. He can bring it back to 4 points. Doonbeg haven't gone away. If it's dark on the TV and those watching in on Clare GATV, it's very dark here in Clare. There's a dark cloud over us for the last 40 minutes. Thankfully it's staying dry, but right back to that chance. Great football from Miltown, most unlucky, but yet it could be Doonbeg that will capitalise on that misfortune, because they have a scoring opportunity now to bring it back down to a 4-point game.
They have indeed, and it's David Tuberty that you've put in charge of it, and he does get another score, and it means that the gap is back to 4. The wafer thin margins between this game, you had a goal chance at one end that went right off the crossbar, and only seconds later Sean Conway went in the free for David Tuberty to score his 5th point of the evening, all from frees mind you, but it means that it's 8 to 10 points, and we're just coming up to the 49th minute, just over 10 minutes of normal time remaining, but there is going to be, because of that water break, a few additional, and it's Kevin Keevy that's rating for Miltown. They're going to want a response. They didn't get one in the last one, even though the ball was unlucky to come off back off the crossbar, but they're raiding again, and it's Owen Cleary. He's quickly surrounded by Tig Lillis, and there's a real horde of Magpies again looking for it, but it's back to Owen Cleary. He's looking at it. The lightning is striking here, but it's Miltown that get the ball, Kevin Keevy, but it's intercepted by Colm Dillon, and Colm Dillon, another own goal, but he'll settle things down. He gives it out here to Paul Dillon. Paul Dillon on his own 45-metre line managed to make a bit of ground. He finds Parker Horn, just took his eye off it for a moment, and it allowed Micheál Murray to pick up the ball. It's Conor Cleary finding Kevin Keevy right on the halfway line. Kevin Keevy checks back and finds Aidan McGowan on his right. He's on the touchline. He's been about to be tackled by Sean Conway, but they're going to be patient here on the halfway line. Their options are very limited inside, but it's Micheál Murray that looks to try and cut inside. A bit of incisive play here, and he finds Oisin Looney on the overlap. He passes the 45-metre line and gives inside to Zach Whelan, who's come on at that water break. Zach Whelan gives it to Cian Mahoney. Cian Mahoney has to check back again. There's just too many defenders there in front of him, and Brian Curtin, they're 4 points to the good. They're not going to panic on Julie, but that is a high delivery that Miltown were very, very fortunate to come out of. Conor Cleary playing a foot pass along the ground to the captain, Shawnee Malone. Shawnee Malone now cuts inside the 45-metre line and gives after Conor Cleary. The lightning is still flashing here, but it's Miltown that have the ball in their hands. It's Aidan McGowan in the corner, gives it back out to Shawnee Malone. He'll have a pop, surely. He does, and just tipped over the bar by Eamon Tuberty, but a very, very good settling score for Miltown, and it's the captain Shawnee Malone that gets his first score of the game, his first score of the championship, and it's Miltown that are 2-9 to 10 points clear as we enter the 51st minute.
Yeah, it's been 9 or 10 minutes of normal time to go, and good work by the young Miltown lads, the Whelahans, the Mahoneys, and they're fighting hard for one another. These young players, Oisin Looney was involved. It's good to see him breaking onto a successful Miltown side. I think on the far side of the field it looks like it's Micheál Murray has made way. Zach Whelan will be playing it left half forward, more than likely. That's where he was named originally, so it looks like he's now gone into the corner on that far side, but good response from the Miltown. It looks as if they've turned over Doonbeg again on the far side of the ground. They're not going to give up this title without a huge fight on their hands. Remember, they're still 10 points, 2-9 in the scoreboard. It's a 5-point margin, but Miltown still have that margin between themselves and the Magpies. They have the football, they've won the free as well, far side of the ground, and Miltown will try and turn this screw, not to have the game in any doubt as we go into the last 5 or 6 minutes. We're still a bit away from that, but Miltown still very much in the driving seat here in Clare.
They're looking to make it a 6-point game again. They've gone past that mark a few times, but Doonbeg have obstinately stood in their way and have chipped back at every occasion. But there's still a big gap in it. There's 5 points, and they opt to go the free backwards. It's Aidan McGowan back in his own half again. That's a little bit undercooked, and it allows Ronan Good to get a pass inside. And Doonbeg have an overlap here, but it's tidied up inevitably by Brian Curtin. He's done so many times and inside there, but Enda Doyle has got 2 good balls inside there and kind of profited from both, even though that just drifted wide.
No, it wasn't so much it drifted wide. I think Enda got a fist to it, but I thought it had gone out for a 50, but obviously the umpire right beside it, and he signalled the wide ball. Sean O'Brien now has been in this position many a time for Miltown for the last 5 or 6 years.
Miltown get themselves out of trouble because that could have been danger for just a split second. As Conor Cleary on the ball looked to have changed hands and is giving away a free.
Fouled on the ball, Conor. He shouldn't have got caught like that, because he had options up the wing. He decided he'd turn around, got caught between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea, and Sean Conway now will launch it long. It'll be looking for Enda Doyle.
Enda Doyle is there, and he beats Shawnee Malone. Shawnee O'Brien to the ball, but that just goes to the left and wide. He got a flick to it. It was a high delivery. It's something that they probably didn't do enough in the first half when they Colm Dillon.
He knows how important it is to find your man. He's going to play this side of the field, looking for Conor Cleary. Good positioning by Michael Tuberty. Doonbeg go raiding again. Owen Tuberty on possession.
Owen Tuberty is inside the 20-metre line. He's got a bit of an angle. He's cutting in from the right. He looks for Enda Doyle. Enda Doyle has a look up, And he puts it right over the bar, and he just makes amends for that. Just missed just seconds earlier, which was Doonbeg's 7th wide. But now it is Doonbeg that cut the deficit back to 4 points again. And that experience of Enda Doyle, he was again on one of those 6 that were on that 2010 team. And it's Shawnee O'Brien that has yet another kick out. Miltown under a little bit of pressure. They're not going to panic just yet because there's only the 7 minutes of normal time remaining. But
7 minutes, and Miltown, you know, will be getting a little bit itchy if they don't get a score, because Doonbeg, we know, will go to the bitter end. That's the tradition of the club back there. They'll leave no stone unturned. As we said, you might as well be beaten here by 10 as beaten by 1. Miltown going backwards, though, all about keeping possession. They know if they can create a bit of space up front, they have the pace to exploit it, but it's all about timing the tackles, timing their passes, making sure they're giving the ball to the fella to utilise the pace that's up there. Zach Whelan, Cian Mahoney, Gordon Kelly will go looking for one of the youngsters now to profit from this. Ewan Reedy far side the ground.
Yeah, Ewan Reedy on the ball after getting a great run from Gordon Kelly, but that's just overhit and a little bit of trouble there at the back for Doonbeg. And it's Miltown that gets the ball. It's Cormac Murray, that looks to be going left and wide, and it is. And it's Miltown's pressure to make sure it was wide, and Doonbeg have another man down. It looks to be is it not Colm Dillon?
Well, yeah, right down the middle of the field was a running good. We'll see now. Right now, they have rang the changes up front as well. Owen Tuberty has gone in. Michael Tuberty has moved up and into Doyle. So David Tuberty is the furthest. Of course, that will mean as well. It looks like Colm Dillon from here. That with David Tuberty, of course, you take Gordon out of the centre back position, put him in on the verge of the square. So it negates his influence a little bit by bringing him in there, and he moves David into where he's more customary. Colm is back on his feet. 10 years ago, he captained the side. He'd love to lead them back with a victory here in Clare against the team they're chasing at 3 in a row in Clare. Cian Mahoney's under a bit of pressure. Owen Cleary has turned him over.
Owen Cleary has it, and he chips it up perfectly into his hands. He's looking for a score. He just has to check back. He's got 2 defenders, but manages to find Kevin Keevy. Kevin Keevy shot and goal. He deflected off about 2 players, but Eamon Tuberty picks up the ball, and they just got out there. Oh, there's a couple of flaying arms there for a second. Jim Hickey is happy to get that free out, and another relief for Doonbeg. Miltown had 3 goal chances in the second half.
And Kevin was on his left leg as well, but he just got blocked on the line, and Eamon gladly picked it up then, and he wants to get started straight away. He knows if we get it down to a 1-score game, it's all to play for. Right now there's still those 4 points between the sides. David has come way out for the field, but that won't bother him too much. They'll know that if they keep possession, they can, and they have the craft and the experience to carve out an opening for themselves, and if they do, everything is into the pot for the last couple of minutes. Owen Tuberty in front of it well. Unfortunately, his hands lay him down, and Brian Curtin, the ageless Brian Curtin, playing the role of the scuba diver at the back. He'll set Miltown back up again to come raiding down here in front, right here in front of the commentary position.
Absolutely, and it's Miltown that try and break out of their own half. Colin Hare giving it out to Cian Mahoney. Cian Mahoney finds Conor Cleary, and they're going to play it back to their full back line because that's where all the space is for Miltown. They're going to be patient, and he finds Aidan McGuan right out here on the right wing. He's got a bit of space in front of him. He's going to be tackled by Kevin Pender, but gives it back to Conor Cleary. Conor Cleary takes a solo, has a look, assessing his options, and his preferred option is Owen, his brother, and Owen managed to beat 2 tackles. He's cut inside. This would be a fantastic score, and he's got many of them in his career so far, and he does. That's a superb effort.
Superb point.
A superb score from Owen Cleary. It's his 5th of the game, and could it be an insurance point because
that's his 6th actually. He's got 4 from play, he's got 1 from free, 1 from a 50, 6 points to the Clare captain, and you know it ledges that Miltown, keeps that daylight between them. Doonbeg, they need that goal if ever they needed one, just to bring this game to the death now. They won't give up. Owen Tuberty using all his pace, and a scoring opportunity for the young Doonbeg man.
And it looks to be on. No, it's gone to the left and wide, and that's unfortunate for Doonbeg. That's their 8th wide of the game, and only the 3rd in the second half. They're 5 points down. It's Miltown 2-10, Doonbeg 11 points. We haven't probably said that enough to keep viewers, but it's 57 minutes gone. But it just shows the frenetic nature of the game, and the coverage in association with Jones's Super Value in Miltown Malby, serving the people of West Clare.
It's around here in Clare. Thankfully, it stayed dry though, and we've been in for a really exciting West Clare tussle here between these 2 giants of the game. In yesteryear, certainly Miltown, of course, still the county champions. Doonbeg trying to get back to where they were once were. James O'Connor just in action a moment ago, picks up the ball, and Miltown go through once again, through the faces, through the hands, as they try and carve out another opening here in this Doonbeg defence.
Absolutely, the sparks are flying on the field, and the sparks are coming from the sky as well in the lightning, and there's a bit of thunder to match as well, because this is going to go right down to the wire. I know this. the moment. It's Miltown on the attack, and his own Cleary gives it back out to Jamesy O'Connor. Jamesy O'Connor looking in space, and that's where he finds Gordon Kelly. They've been very, very patient in these last few minutes, trying to probe that perfect opportunity, and it's Aidan McGowan that tries to go past the 45-metre line. He does make ground and run, and good. They'll be coming up against each other for Kilmaley and Newmarket and Fergus, but this time it's Cormac Murray looked to be fouled, and he is, and that's going to be a golden opportunity for Owen Cleary to put 6 points again in this game. And we're coming up to the 59th minute. Do you think it's kind of done and dusted?
Yeah, well, we said early on that Doonbeg, would need a goal or two, and Miltown got that goal or two, and that is ultimately the difference. This should put those two clear goals between them again. Owen Cleary will take his time going out. Jim Hickey has signalled out to John O'Connell. He's going to signal out that. Is that 5-4 David O'Brien here? Eagle-eyed David O'Brien, the Miltown publican, has said it's 4 points. And just as I said, Owen Cleary has chipped that ball off the bar. Two clear green flags between the sides. 6 points. It's all about goals in tight championship matches. They're worth more than 3. You only get 3 for them, but just a tonic to give to a team. And Miltown now 6 points to the good as we hit the 30-minute mark.
Yeah, we're about to do with no idea of the minutes at the moment, but it's 2-11 to St. Joseph's Miltown. It's 11 points for Doonbeg. Those two tackles, and Owen Cleary shipped a hefty challenge in the back, but shrugs it off and just outside the right post. But he's hurt from that challenge that he got, and he's going to receive a bit of treatment here. The game has stopped. Jim Hickey rightly calls for a bit of attention for Owen Cleary. Just got to seem to get a nudge in the lower back there, Joe.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I don't know whether somebody had committed a tackle and up into him or not. But Looney's going in there now as well. And their team physio, they'll get on as one of the outstanding footballers as well. We've had the joy to watch and support from a Clare football perspective over the last number of years. The Garda has led by example, and Clare captain this year. When you step into the shoes of Gary Brennan, it's an onerous task, but he's managed that with a plum. He was outstanding in the league so far this year and carried that form into the championship as well. So Miltown look as if they're going to be in the hat of that 3-man group. Remember, with 2 of those teams will come out of the hat and they'll play on the Friday. That Cracklow-Clonagad game, of course, is going to hold things up a little bit, so we'll have to find out who comes out of that. And of course the third team then will be decided tomorrow evening in Doonbeg between the Miletians here in Clare as they meet the Kilrush Shamrocks. So plenty of football. It's great to have the football back in front of us. Unfortunately, it looks as if Doonbeg's races ran today. Compliments to St. Brickens and Lissycasey who had wins today. Corofin I think won as well. Wolf Tones, Kildysart all had wins in the Intermediate Football Championship. It's great to have games, even though not many can do it, but through the good offices of Clare FM and of course Clare GATV, hopefully we can bring some of the action to everybody listening in at home.
And don't forget Jones's Super Value in Miltown Mulby. We probably haven't mentioned him enough, but it's Ty Gillis. He's looking for it. Looks to be a hopeful ball towards Colm Dillon. There's 3 men surrounding him, but Colm manages to get on possession even though he's under pressure from Shawnee Malone, and he wins a free. And it's it's still 6 points in the game, but Doonbeg will never give up. Absolutely not. Who's impressed you so far, Joe, really, on both sides, really?
Well, I must say I was impressed by young Mahoney again. We know he's plenty of ability, and just we got a glimpse of what he can do. A pass that went in for Cormac Murray's goal, broke through himself. He knew exactly what he wanted to do. Was unlucky the ball came off the crossbar. It's nice to see young players coming in. Zach Whelan as well. We know Oisin Kilmurray after fresh from that fabulous victory they had in the park a couple of weeks ago. They'll be delighted with that. Rogue, of course, have been knocking on the door. They haven't knocked any doors down though in the last couple of years, and there's a big door of Kilmurray a brick in front of tomorrow if they're good enough. Time will tell. Right now, Miltown seeing out the game. They know their name is in the hat. 6 points between the